What's up, everybody? Thanks for checking in with Callie. Please like, subscribe if you haven't. So, the reports are out in regards to James Harden and what he wants to do in regards to being with the Clippers a long period of time. And in saying that, with Kawhi Leonard signing that extension about a week ago, and it really kind of opened up the eyes and the doors more for the return of the other core players that's there. And that's meaning PG, James Harden, along with Russell Westbrook. And the fact that Kawhi wants to come back and wants to be there and wants to be a part of this organization going forward, I really feel like that encouraged them more, because if he's the best player on the team and he's the reason why all this is around, he's the reason why all this has been orchestrated. And the way they're playing right now as a team, as a unit, and going out and, playing these big games, winning big games, and a lot of people looking at them more of a contender now than they ever have, I think it's basically swaying, it swayed players' ideas in regards to, staying with the Clippers also. But, I mean, you look at James Harden and what he says, or what he said, that, he thought this last year. He thought that, even when he was on the Sixers, he wanted to be home. He wanted to play for his home team in L.A., you know what I'm saying? And now that he's here in L.A., he has a better chance of, being more happy, better chance of, just retiring here. And that's the things that he talked about and he alluded to, in regards to the Clippers. He wants to, retire, as a Clipper. He wants to retire, in LA alone, as a player, as a NBA player. And that's an ultimate dream for him, to be in LA at home and, to win a championship on top of that. If they're able to do that, then, I mean, that will basically seal the deal for James Harden. And I definitely can't blame him, because when you're at home, you're comfortable, your family's around, you feel like you're, secure, you're in a better, safer place, you feel more, home cooking, all that type stuff. It goes a long way. I mean, I'm never going to dispute that or refute that, because that's something that, we all need to experience, and we all do the same thing, no matter where we are in life. The holidays come, Thanksgiving, you're going to find your way back home because you want that home cooking. You want that home spirit. You want to be around your family, things like that. And, it just kind of gives you more of a get up about yourself, give you a little bit more energy, a little bit more bounce in your step. I could see that in a lot in his game and a lot in everybody else's game on the Clippers as well. So, I mean, when you look at that from that standpoint, I mean, Clippers fans should be glad to hear that, because, James Harden is a star player, and he is, one of those guys that, help he's the guy that's so-called the system. But I mean, he's definitely helping the Clippers be a lot more formidable than what they were years past, because it was just all on Kawhi and PG. They had to be the point guard, and they had to be the scorers, and they had to stay healthy. They had to do all that just to kind of stay afloat and be the team that a lot of people thought they could be. And I think that's the reason why a lot of people had doubts in the Clippers years ago. But I still say if they were healthy, they still would have been a contender for a championship, because anytime Kawhi is on a team, it's just, it's your chances of winning are very, very high. Kawhi can go nights where he doesn't even score that many points, and then he can go through a stretch where he just looks like the best player in the world. I mean, he can, and he's really consistent too. So the consistency of Kawhi is really one of his biggest strengths, of how he plays on the offense and the defensive end. But as I said before, there are nights where, like you look at the last game of OKC, he didn't even really have that big of a game. He only took like 10, 12 shots. He scored like 15 points, but he had big timely plays, like that big block he had on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to let him know, like, yeah, you're up and coming. But there's levels to this. Do you see what I'm saying? And when you're guarded by Kawhi Leonard, he could just affect the game in so many ways. You always have a chance to win with somebody like that. And I think that's another thing that allows James Harden, along with other players on the Clippers, to really subside and say, hey, we can stay with this team. We can keep this core together because we got him. We got one of the elites type players. I mean, we're great players in, Harden, PG and Russ, but Kawhi is an elite type player. So when you think about that in its entirety, you got a chance to win every year with somebody of his caliber. So I think the Clippers are really ultimately happy. They have him. And I really think they're ultimately happy where they are as a team. And like I said, this big four that they have, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. And I think a lot of people know that. I think the NBA knows that. I think they even know that, the Clippers themselves, and I don't know about Ty Lue staying around, consistently or things like that going forward. But I mean, like I said, with the big four that they have, they'll still be fine if they get a decent coach. I think they're just, a really good team. And I think a lot of people believe the same thing about the Clippers. But to hear that James Harden wants to stay and wants to be there, if he can keep giving out good production the way that he is in regards to the assists, being unselfish, being happy, and understanding that winning comes first, then, you got the best version of James Harden that any team has ever had. I'm talking about even Houston, you know what I'm saying? Because Houston, he was more about getting MVPs and stats, and he did probably had the desire to win, but I think his desire is it's a little bit turned up more now with this team because it's not all on him. He doesn't have to go out there. He's not responsible for going out there dropping 40 points every game with 10 assists. And, I think one year he was averaging like 35 points a game, that whole season just about. And he had, I knew he was going to win the MVP with those type numbers. But even the late, great Kobe Bryant, said years ago, you're not going to win championships that way because it's too much on you and you're not finding ways to make your team better and pushing them in ways that you can take nights off and still find ways to get victories against good teams. And, when Kobe said something along those lines, it really resonated with me. And now in him saying that, he's on a team where he doesn't really have to be the guy all the time. You know what I'm saying? He can just really just coast half the time. But when it's needed for him to go out there and put up big numbers, if he has a big night, the guy's just going to find him. He's going to have a big night. And if he doesn't, you still got Kawhi and PG to make up for what you don't do. So it's a good situation that he's in. Clippers fans should definitely be happy that he does want to come back and continue his career, with the Clippers. I definitely think it's a good thing for them. And I definitely think if he continues to play the way he's playing and have the mindset that he has, sky's the limit for the Clippers.